Today I have another new album review. This one was voted by you in my community tab poll, and the album is Hymns from the Apocrypha by the band Suffocation. This is a brutal death metal band and also the pioneers of the subgenre called slam death metal. They invented the first slam guitar riff with their first album. They are legends in the death metal genre and have been active for over 35 years. They finally have a new album after a 6-year gap and a new vocalist for the first time in the band. There have been lots of changes, so let's talk about this band. This band is from Long Island, which is the same place where I grew up. They are from a town called Centereach, a quiet suburban town with lots of 7-Elevens and a great place to go whenever you need a Slurpee. Their first album was called Effigy of the Forgotten. This album was released back in 1991. The sound was very ahead of its time. They tuned their guitars to C standard. They played a lot of fast palm-muted guitar riffs and tremolo picking. The drumming was filled with blast beats. The band was from New York, so there was this influence from the New York hardcore scene. I spoke about this in my recent review of my latest album review by Prong. The song has been cited as the first slam riff. This comes from the breakdown of the song Leash of Inveracity. Other bands started to come out with that same area in the early 90s as well. One band was called Internal Bleeding, and there have been a few others. This genre evolved into other subgenres such as deathcore and tech death. Their live show is very intense. There's always a mosh pit forming, and they are very intense. I haven't been in a mosh pit in over 20 years. I'm way too old for them, but I remember how fun they were. Now this brings us to the new album, Hymns from the Apocrypha. In case you're wondering, Apocrypha are biblical or related writings not forming part of the accepted canon of Scripture. The band has one original member left, Terrance Hobbs, the lead guitarist. Bass player Derek Boyer has been with them since 2004. Charlie Arrigo, guitarist, and Erica Morotti, drums, have been in the band for 7 years, and the new vocalist is Rickey Meyers. Let's go track by track. Hymns from the Apocrypha starts as you would expect. The pace is very fast. There's some stop-start guitar riffs, lots of tempo changes. The vocals are very brutal. Some of the guitar riffs have a whirlwind kind of feel. It's a type of music that's not very easy to listen to if you're not familiar with this type of music. I like it because they switch gears often throughout the song. That helps keep the listener interested. Perpetual Deception continues with the same type of sound. If you're not paying attention, it might seem like the same song at first, but with this kind of music, you need to give the album a few spins. This was a cool song. They have a lot of tempo changes, and it goes from fast to mid-paced throughout the song. They flavor the sound with some pinch harmonics, and there is a cool breakdown part, which is known as the classic slam riff. Some of the guitar riffs sounded a little like classic thrash and death metal. Dim Veil of Obscurity starts like the others, but on this one, I could hear a little bit of melody in the opening guitar riff. It was almost like a classic heavy metal guitar riff. The song then gets very fast and brutal. There are some insane blast beats and some sick and vile vocals. The song has two things going for it. First is the speed. It seems like they wanted to keep things fast. And the second is the melody. You can hear traces of melodic parts in the song. Immortal Excercise is a little different. If the last track was very fast, this one is slow, or at least the first part of the song was. They sped it up as the song progressed, but I like the fact that they open the song with a slow and heavy guitar riff. It helps make the song stand out on its own. The song has a lot of chugging and deep guttural vocals. The guitar solo is very melodic. I think this might be my favorite song for the album because I like it when death metal bands play these like slow, like palm muted guitar riffs, and the song had a lot of that. Seraphim Enslavement is a song that is on the faster, more aggressive side. This was leaning toward tech death. I felt the guitar riffs were a little more complex, and they used a lot of speed and precision in the song structure. The song still has some twists and turns, and they switch gears a few times. Descendants was a pretty cool song. In the lyrics, they say that life cannot be altered and that it has been determined before you were conceived. It's a very deep message to think about. The song is very heavy as usual. I would say that the bass guitar plays a major role in this track. There's a lot of chugging, but there's also a lot of dissonance. Sound is really good to listen to with headphones, by the way. Embrace the Suffering has some intense tremolo picking going on. It sounds like either a buzzsaw or a bumblebee. I wasn't sure, but it was very intense. This album does not let up. A lot's going on with the guitar playing, and if you just take the time to listen to the guitar riffs closely, and you really enjoy it. I read a comment that said that at the end it sounds like nails piercing a casket. That's kind of a very dark thought.
I never knew.
Delusions of Mortality was one of the singles, and this one has some slower sections that let the listener feel the heaviness in the guitar riffs. They still move at breakneck speed in parts of the song, and there's a lot of intensity. But this band likes to switch gears at times, and it helps make the songs stand out. Ignorant Deprivation features Frank Mullen, the previous vocalist. It's a re-recording of one of their older songs that features Frank Mullen. Like I said, if you're unfamiliar with the band, you could tell there was a difference in the sound as well as the vocals. The original was from the album Breeding the Spawn from 1993. The song is intense, but also shows you that this band has not changed much over the years. I thought the breakdown was very intense. They slowed it down, and they had heavy chugging guitar riffs, a typical slam type of guitar riff. Now for my final thoughts, I thought this was very intense, brutal. They're not doing anything different than they have been doing over the years. I think this is what fans would come to expect. I thought it was very good. I would say the recent album by Dying Fetus, Make Them Beg for Death, was a better album. I use that as a comparison because Dying Fetus came out that same year, and they play similar styles. But still, this album is very good. I give it an 8 out of 10. Let me know in the comments what you think. Speaking of Dying Fetus, here's my video of that album right here I was just talking about. Please like this video. It helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Please subscribe if you have not already. I do rock and metal reviews. I do classic rock. I do metal. I do heavy stuff like this, and I do alternative, and I try to mix it up and make everybody happy. So I'll see you in the next one.